Your cat knows something about you that you refuse to admit. Not the obvious stuff, the uncomfortable stuff, the parts you keep editing out of conversations. By the end of this, you'll understand why 3,000 people asked the exact same question when they couldn't figure out what their pet meant, and why the answer has nothing to do with the pet. Here's what actually happens. Someone gets a dog. The dog is loud, demanding, needs constant attention. They describe this as the dog's personality. But here's what changed in the research. Pet behavior researchers noticed something odd in 2014. When people described their pets, they weren't describing the animal at all. They were describing the version of themselves they couldn't acknowledge in public. The lazy cat owner who called their cat independent. The anxious dog owner who said their dog was protective. The quiet fish owner who insisted fish were calming. Now, if you've ever felt confused about whether you even have a personality, drop a comment telling me what pet you have. Not because I'm curious about animals, because the pattern shows up in how you describe them. And subscribe if you want to see what your answer actually reveals. Because part 2 of this gets darker. What matters isn't what your pet does. It's what you choose to notice. Take the person with 5 different pets. A cat, 2 birds, a snake, some rats. When asked about their personality, they listed the pets, just the pets. No interpretation, no meaning. Because the question itself felt impossible to answer. That's not confusion, that's avoidance, with a very elaborate filing system. But here's what nobody talks about. The people who don't have pets at all. 3,000 of them left the same comment, word for word. I don't have any pets. Does that mean I don't have a personality? Question mark. Sad face. The research on this is uncomfortable. Because it suggests that pets aren't revealing your personality. They're providing evidence that you have one, something external you can point to when the internal stuff feels too vague to defend. So why does this feel safer? Why do people describe a guinea pig's personality instead of their own? Because the guinea pig can't contradict them. Once you notice this, you see it everywhere. The bulldog owner who compared his date to his dog. It went badly. The friend who asked what it means to have a bird, not what the bird does, what it means. The person with the rock who called it stubborn. We've built an entire system where animals do the emotional labor of self-description, and this is where it gets strange. The people with multiple pets, bunny, bird, 2 hamsters, they're the ones asking if their personality is inconclusive, like they're waiting for the pets to vote on who they are. A committee decision, majority rules. But the pets aren't voting, they're just existing. You're the one who keeps checking the results. Here's what researchers found when they dug deeper. People who felt uncertain about their identity were 14 times more likely to ask strangers what their pets said about them. Not friends, strangers. Because strangers don't have context. They can't compare your answer to your history. What you're really asking is, will this description stick if nobody knows me well enough to correct it? That's not about pets. That's about hoping someone else will tell you who you are before you have to decide for yourself. Now, this is crucial. The absence of a pet doesn't mean the absence of personality. It means the absence of a convenient translation device. You have to describe yourself directly. No ambassador, no interpreter, just you explaining you. And most people would rather adopt 7 animals than do that once. But here's what changes everything. The bird owner who wrote 8 sentences about their bird's personality, how it explores, hides, loves personal space, shows affection only when cold, then added, The bird got lost and I'm trying to help him feel better. That's the moment the system breaks. Because grief doesn't translate. You can't describe sadness through a proxy. It just shows up as you, raw, undisguised. The pets were never hiding your personality. They were giving you permission to have one quietly, without explanation, without defense. So if you're still wondering what your pet says about you, leave a comment with your most honest description, not the cute version, the real one. And subscribe, because next week we're talking about why some people collect pets like evidence. The question isn't what your pet reveals about your personality. The question is why you needed them to speak first.